Welcome to Becoming More, where we learn from other people. And today we are going to be covering some areas that women are going to want to know. And men, you're going to want to know for your wives because it's going to be very, very important. It's about health. It's about helping each other understand things that have never been explained to us at all. And I have Dr. Kristina Collins with us. And
Hello.
I'm telling you, a Harvard graduate. I've been so excited since I was able to meet with you and have dinner with you. And that discussion just led from one thing to another. Yet, let's start out real quick with you just telling us maybe 3 to 5 things about yourself, and then I'll start in with some questions.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me, Dan. Actually, I felt the same way. We had such a great conversation the first few times we met, first time on the phone and second time at lunch. So it's really exciting to come participate in your podcast with you. And hopefully we can really help some people with our discussion today and give a lot of great information. But about me, I'm a Harvard trained dermatologist. I'm the owner and founder of a chain of boutique dermatology practices in the Austin area, and also CEO and founder of a national retail skincare line called Foy by Dr. Collins. I'm an international speaker and a media expert for outlets like New York Times, Vogue, Cosmo, Glamour, Allure, pretty much every single magazine and news source. And of course, on a personal level, I'm a wife and a mom to a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old child. So a lot of fun, busy stuff for me right now.
Well, you are very busy because you don't just have one clinic here in Austin, you have many. And you took the mindset assessment and helped me out with that so much. I really
Which I
appreciate
loved, by the way.
it. Well, it's fun to have a doctor say how awesome it is. And we've had many doctors now say that about the assessment. Yet, let's dive into some things that are important to me.
Mhm.
As you know, a few years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah.
And in learning more and more about some of the things that cause that, okay, is
Mhm.
one of the things they told me is you need to have a natural skin care.
Mhm.
So I went out looking for natural. And what I found out is that they don't have to tell us what's in all those products. I mean,
Right.
yeah, so
Right.
let's talk a little bit about that. Is there a
Yeah.
certain amount that they have to tell us about?
Yeah, Diane, I mean, you're spot on because I think there's a couple of issues in what you just said. One being, you spoke about your breast cancer, which you're so strong while you're going through all of that. I've been so impressed with your positivity. And I think we all know that cancers of different type are on the rise, and especially among young females.
Right.
So while we don't know why, right? Early detection certainly part of it, but doesn't explain all of the jump. I know I personally have had a lot of friends recently that have breast cancer at an early age, same age as me. And we see nationally those numbers are rising. So there is a question about why. And while we don't know, one thing that I would keep in my mind as somebody who is knowledgeable about formulation of skincare as a dermatologist is, what do women do that's different from men? Well, we tend to slather stuff all over our bodies all the time, and cosmetics and hair products and facial products and body products and, our um, genital health products, our tampons, all of that stuff, self care products. And I do worry that some of the ingredients that we're exposed to could be dangerous. I think to kind of unpack the next thing you said about what do they have to tell us? Well, if something's in a product in a certain amount, they do have to give us the name. But for lots of fragrances and things that are put in small amounts, they don't have to individually call out the specific chemicals in those. And then the other part of this is that there's a lot of ingredients on the box that they have listed, but what do we know about the safety profile of those ingredients? And so I think one of the things that I really wanted to do with my skincare line was to bring together something that was completely safe first and foremost. I grew up, I think, Dianna, I told you about growing up in an alternative medicine household.
Right.
My dad's a chiropractor and acupuncturist. So I think a lot of times my views just from growing up and the way that I view preventative health and the way I view taking care of myself and ourselves is so different from the typical MD viewpoint. But I really think we can bring those together. You know, it doesn't have to be polarizing. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And so with my skincare line, I thought, I really want my patients to have things that I know are safe, that don't have preservatives. These are all oil-based, water-free products that don't have these artificial synthetic fragrances, known endocrine disruptors, known things that would affect our fertility, known things that would cause cancer in people. I want all that out. But I also want the product to help us, because I think my gripe with the all natural products is often like, okay, well, it's kind of like this blend of oils. We could also use it to cook our food with, probably, and there's not really a dermatology active in there. So we do want to help ourselves with the things that we're noticing as we get older, like the pigmentation and the fine lines and all of the complaints. So I really wanted to make sure I added safe dermatology evidence-based actives into a completely natural product.
Well, that's what I needed because they said no
Mhm.
estrogen. I did
Right.
not realize how much estrogen was in a lot of the skin products that we are using as women. And of course, estrogen too much can lead to cancer, breast cancer primarily. And as we looked at all of that, and I went out on this quest to find a natural product. That was
Yeah.
my big thing. And when I found yours, first of all, I love it. And so I wanted to share that with the world. And more importantly, though, because it was all natural, and that's what I needed at the time. And I thought, I needed it at the time, yet didn't I need it prior to? Because who
Hmm.
knows? Maybe I wouldn't have gotten it. There's no guarantees. Nobody is guaranteed because there's too many things happening out there. Yet, if we
Right.
could help prevent it, it means so much. So when I looked at these products, and they're all natural, and what are you finding? Because you just brought this product to life, what, a year ago, or has it been longer?
Actually, it's been 3 years, so
Okay.
we're getting up there. um, but it was years of formulation and research before that, and I think really coming together into products that are really different, because having those amazing results with actual ingredients that can decrease our pigmentation or melasma or wrinkles or all the things that we're experiencing, boost our collagen, but yet really taking out these kind of unknown chemicals, anything that you really read the ingredient and you have no idea how to pronounce it, what it is, what kind of chemical that is. Really removing anything like that from the products. And I think, I know it's interesting, kind of what you touched on is that you had to do your own research.
Yes.
And I think that's such a shared experience for so many women, especially, that we're put in these positions because mainstream medical hasn't necessarily addressed all of our needs and all of our questions. And you know, the doctors that we see that are specialists in whatever area they are, they're amazing, but they don't necessarily have the information that we're looking for in some of these areas of concern that we have, or our shared experiences as women. And so we're put in these collective situations where we're having to get online and try to figure it out ourselves, do our own research, what's safe, what's not safe, what's safe for my kids, what's not safe for my kids. And I think it's interesting because I feel like just now the medical and scientific community is starting to sort of hear the voices of women more than they have in the past.
I agree.
I know, yeah, like perimenopause and menopause was like, it was called the change, for God's sakes. Like they wouldn't even give it a name. Like we were already supposed to say menopause, like the change, she's going through the change. And I think so much so now we're starting to hear this receptivity to like, what is our experience as women? What have we already known to be true for so long, for example, about our experience? And that now the scientific and medical community is starting to open their ears to that and maybe include us in medical research and things like that. But I feel like, just like you, so many of us, including myself, even having gone to medical school, have felt like at times I had to go down this rabbit hole of doing my own research in order to figure out a problem, a very real problem that
Exactly.
we experience as women.
Well, and with October being the month, right, that
Mhm.
everybody says it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I thought this would be a great podcast for us to have. And the
Absolutely.
preventative is what we're after. I mean, my son is a holistic doctor in Denver, and he's all about preventative. We need doctors. Please don't take this as you should never
Hmm.
go to a medical doctor, you should never have surgery. That is not the case. When I
Hmm.
actually had my surgery, next door to me was a 33-year-old. Now, I'm a lot
Yeah.
older than that, and yes, I had wrinkles before I ever met you. However, they have diminished some since I started using
Yeah.
your products. Yet, I didn't know about your products. It wasn't
Hmm.
until after they gave me, well, they'd been diagnosed and they told me, you
Hmm.
have cancer. And it was so interesting the way that they thought I would handle that. I
Hmm.
thought, what is it that they've been through in the past that made them think that the gal had to run out and get Kleenexes, right? When
Yeah.
he said, well, let me show you the report and the x-rays. And he started to put them up there. And I said, I want to see the reports and the x-rays yet. Just tell me. You
Hmm.
don't have to go through this song and dance. Just
Yeah.
tell me what it is. And he said, well, you have. And I go, no, you're diagnosing it with, to me. I'm not going to claim it. I will do the
Hmm.
surgeries or whatever I have to do. I said, what's next? Well, his assistant had gone out of the room and she came back with the Kleenexes. I said, unless those Kleenexes are for you, I don't
Yeah.
need them. Get them away from me. Let's move forward. What do we
Yeah.
do? Surgery? And he said, yes, you have to have surgery. And I said, well, I leave for a vacation tomorrow with my family. And so
Hmm.
when I get back, now the hardest part for me out of the whole ordeal was telling my son who had lost
Right.
his wife to cancer, right? And
Oh,
so
wow.
now I'm going to tell him. And that was the hardest part. And yet he's a
Absolutely.
holistic doctor, so he knows. Well, the bottom line was I wish I would have known there in the hospital because that little gal sitting next to me or lying next to me
Hmm.
with the curtains drawn, right? Because she was going in
Hmm.
after me, and this was during COVID where you couldn't have anybody else around you. I was absolutely taken back as to what can you say to people? And of course,
Hmm.
people were always saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my friends.
Right.
I told my family, and I told them, "Oh, it's nothing. It's so little. It's nothing." I
Yeah.
even because my husband was having surgery, a hip replacement. I didn't even tell him for a month. I put the
Oh,
surgery
wow.
off. I just kept everything pretty much to myself. And one person said to me, why are you doing that since you've been going through this? And I said, well, what can other people do? First of all,
Right.
they all wanted to give me their diagnosis as to what I should do, right? I didn't need that. And a lot of people wanted to feel sorry for me. I definitely didn't need that. And so
Right.
sometimes not even knowing what to say, yet one thing we could help with is can I recommend a product to you that will help you because it's all natural and you won't
Hmm.
helping that cancer if it is estrogen, you won't be helping it out by putting
Hmm.
more on your face or
Hmm.
more on
Hmm.
your body. So where would they get in touch with you or how would they get the product or even look
Oh,
at
yeah.
the product?
Yeah. Actually, I have one right here, a little sample to show. Foy by Dr. Collins. And this is one that I have here too. I sell facial and vulva skincare products. So, kind of exciting stuff, really preventative health for the face and also the vulva because we as women have really complex skin on the vulva. We actually experience a lot of different changes, whether it's from medications, whether it's from having a child, being pregnant, postpartum, perimenopause, menopause. We all know that the vulva is this rapidly evolving skin with this complex microbiome, hormone levels, pH balance, friction, heat, all of these things contribute to that being a very, very complex area of skin. So there's a preventative maintenance program there that I have. And then this is an example of one of our bottles. This is my favorite product, the antioxidant serum for the
That's
face.
mine too. I have to tell you, I could not even
Mhm.
imagine being without that. That is so
Yes,
good.
same. So each product actually has a really fun statement on the back, different for each product. This one's Find Your Balance. And each product, when you open the box, has a meditation that you can do while you apply the product.
Yeah.
And some of the things you were talking about just now really made me think about that, because these products, really, I'm trying to teach people how to use a tool that I've used my whole life, which is positive intention setting, the power of affirmations,
Yeah.
our meditation, basically the power of our minds. And I mean, you are an absolute testament to that. That's how you live your life, by basically the power within yourself. And I think
Right.
the way you handled your cancer diagnosis is just like you handle every other challenge in your life, which is, I'm not going to say this defines me. I'm going to deal with the information I have, and I'm going to get through it. And
Right.
I think the so many people, they struggle with power of affirmation. They struggle with positive intention
Mhm.
setting. And I think part of the problem is we're all so dang busy. I mean, we are all so busy. I know for me, if someone says, "Hey, you got to add in this extra 15 minutes a day of um,
Yeah.
meditation," you're like, when should I do that? Should I do it while my kids are jumping on me? Should I do it while I'm at work to seeing a patient? It's really hard to add something else. And what I had learned through research is that we have all this data that shows that when we do just 5 minutes of a positive intention setting practice, or an affirmation practice, or a meditation practice, just 5 minutes twice a day, has a profound impact on our mental health, and also our physical health, and also our aging process. So we have these things on the end of the DNA called telomeres. Those are these end caps. And they're shorter when we're getting older, and they're longer when we're younger. And they found that this 5 minutes twice a day actually resulted in lengthening of the telomeres. So it was essentially like a fountain of youth. And the cool thing that I found was, it was a specific time of day. It does matter the time of day. It's right when we wake up and right before we go
Before
to
we go
bed.
to bed.
So
That
I
is
said,
so important.
what do we all do right when we get up and right before we go to bed? Even the most low key among us as women usually do some kind of skincare line.
Right.
So I wanted to layer our self-care mentally on our skincare. So I call it self-care multitasking. And basically it's this idea of giving yourself some affirmations and intentions while we're doing the skincare line, which we're already doing. You don't have to add anything extra into your day.
Well, and the thing I loved about that is one of the things I teach in Coaching Blitz is how to help stack habits. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not just habit stacking, it's habit attaching. There's 5 steps that I give people. Now, one of the steps is you anchor it to something you're already doing. I mean,
Yes.
most people brush their teeth in the morning and at night before they go to bed. They wash their face when they get up,
Mhm.
and they wash their face when they go to bed. And so
Right.
doing the skincare is an absolute way to anchor those affirmations, those declarations to our regular routine. And then it's kind of like the meditation or prayer. To me, it's kind of both the same.
Yes.
And like I'll jump into bed some nights and I go, oh, wait, because I anchored it to going to bed. So I have to get up
Hmm.
and do my prayers and then I get in bed. And it doesn't happen very often because I have anchored it. It's just a natural progression, right? Yet if we haven't, anchor it to something that you do every single day. And so I love
Hmm.
what you did. And that's why you and I get along when we heard about declarations, affirmations. We both live our life that way. And yet also, we both believe in energy. And the
Hmm.
present moment, being in that present moment, is one of the highest energies that you can
Hmm.
give.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that because you are a present moment person.
Right. Definitely. That's probably too much,
So, what are
probably
you
over the top
currently
with it.
doing to keep yourself in that present moment? Because there's so much going on out there.
Yeah, I think I told you my motto for success in life is to overdress and underplan. Because I think honestly, I truly believe that so many talented people overplan themselves out of amazing ideas. I
Mm,
think when you really sit down and you think, okay, how much exact time is it going to take me to exactly what steps do I have to do? Exactly how much is this going to cost? All of that stuff looking forward. If I knew any of that stuff before I did pretty much anything I've ever tried to do, I'd be like, no, no. But I think, you know, the interesting thing is that's just a becomes a really stagnant energy in our lives when it's always thinking about, will I for sure be able to make this happen? Will I for sure be able to do this? It's so hard to create under that kind of planning pressure. So it's really a lot of times my nature to just take one day at a time. And I think for some, if you have a lot of balls in the air, you have to just consciously make the decision on a daily basis to say, I'm going to do what I can today.
yeah.
I'm going to get up and I'm going to do what I can with the next 10 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours, if that's what it is. But not thinking about, oh my God, there's this, because as soon as we get into that spiral, we really are losing our grip on our ability to make progress. And I also think just in not enjoying our lives, our work becomes really draining when we're forward focused like that. And I know one mentor, the person that really taught me the type of surgery that I do, she was my main mentor, Dr. Suzanne Ulbricht. She told me many times, this was kind of her biggest piece of advice, and I really always remember it, that the goal should always be to have work that you enjoy so that when you're at work, you're really focused on work. You're thinking about work. You're enjoying your work, actually like getting stimulated mentally by your work. And then have a personal life that's good enough that when you're at home, you're really focused on home. You can focus on your kids when you walk in the door, or your husband, or your friends, or your animals, whatever it is that you have at your home that makes your home really special for you, whether it's your books that you love or your, activities and hobbies that you love, whatever it is, to just, if you're going to take the time to do something, to actually be there for it mentally. And I think it's harder and harder for people because of the phones. The phones
Yes.
constantly keeping us in multiple places at once, being reached by multiple parts of our lives at once. And I think we all really have to kind of make a stand up for ourselves against constant phone interaction and scrolling.
Yeah, I think one of the things, though, being in that present moment, I want to take you back to the
Hmm.
laboratory where you were doing all your research because you didn't just come up with this product and go, voila, one and done, right? I mean, you
Hmm.
had to test it and test after test. How did
Hmm.
you stay in the present moment rather than to live in the past, which a lot of people do because they know what
Hmm.
happened in the past and the future can be frightening? Yet here you are developing this product. How did you overcome the setbacks that you had over and over again and were able to stay in that present moment?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that we all have to kind of coach ourselves through all the time. I think any success that anyone's ever had is not just success, it's actually this big bubble of successes and failures that they had all happening at the same time oftentimes. Everything that I've done has not worked out, and I think it's always easy to kind of know in your heart that we fail forward. Every failure that we have is actually teaching us something. We learn something. If we put something out in the world that wasn't there before, then even if that's not financially successful, or even if other people don't get it, right? And we thought they were going to get it and they don't, something like that. Um, that's not a true failure, because it's actually expanded our consciousness in the world, and it's expanded our light in the world just to have that new thing out there, whether people were ready for it or not, or whether it was kind of a dud financially or not. And I think it's, while we can know that, and I know you believe that too, in the actual moment, I think it takes a lot of self-coaching to get through that kind of thing, to not let yourself say, I'm a failure, I screwed up, all those kind of like pity party things.
Well,
And
isn't that what a lot of people want to say about
yes.
us, right? They love
Yeah.
to have that opportunity, just some people, because it makes
Hmm.
them feel better. Yet, I
Hmm.
think the big thing that you and I both know is that we're all going to have failures, and the most successful people are actually the biggest failures if you
Oh,
added up all their
absolutely.
failures, right? And
Yes.
every single thing that ever came about, look, everybody laughed at the iPhone. They said that would
Hmm.
never work. They laughed when
Right.
Steve Jobs said you can put 1,000 songs in your pocket, right? They go,
Hmm.
what? What are you talking about? And people actually pushed back on the iPhone. And yet, look at it now, we can't even exist without our phones.
Hmm.
So I believe that things that people push back on or laugh at are probably going to be the biggest inventions, so to speak, that change the
Right.
world.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if we have something in our heart, I truly believe that God or the universe, however people like to think about it, never tells us no, never tells us we're not good enough for that dream, ever. It's either that's not good enough for you, or not right now, or yes. And I think just knowing, if there's a dream that's in your heart, if there's somewhere that you think you need to go, I believe that there's nothing that could stop you from that. And I think that that God, the universe, wants to conspire in our favor. I think that actually talking it out is so important, like in meditation, in prayer. I know you and I share that we both do a lot of gratitude
yes.
practice. I am huge on that. And if I have the worst day and I'm in the worst mood, that's when I should spend 5 minutes longer out loud saying all of the things I'm thankful for. And I truly do that, because there's no better way to get yourself out of a pity party that you're having for yourself about this happened, this happened, this happened, than to really run that list out loud and say, thank you, God, for
Yes.
my kids, my parents are still alive and with me, my business partner, my friends, and go through that list of the things that are so special to you. I think that's, for me, has been a key of getting me out of a lot of slumps, where I was being hard on myself, like a perfectionist always is. Just maintaining that gratitude. I know it's a huge part of your life too.
Yeah, because you can't be in negativity and grateful at the same time, right? And
Right.
sometimes I have to stop myself. In fact, in the morning, I won't let my feet hit the ground before I give at least 5 things I'm grateful for. And throughout the
Hmm.
day, I find that I just pause. I have a little thing on my phone now that goes off about every 2 hours. And it's just a little song that goes, so to speak. And I go, oh, that's my gratitude thing. I
Yeah.
can either pray and give gratitude, just say thankfulness out loud, or to myself. Yet people
Right.
laugh at that thing going off and they go, "What is that?" And I go, "Oh, that is my gratitude prayer signal."
Hmm.
So I just do it throughout the day. I think it's great. So let's get into this risk thing, because you've taken a lot of risks in your life. And what did you learn from taking risks that you could pass on to our listeners?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I just know about taking risks is that if we don't take risks, we're not going anywhere. So, and in a way, that's the biggest risk, right? Like, we all think about how scary it would be to try to go back to school and try something new, or to try to write that book that we always wanted to write, or to try to apply for this thing that we just, I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but I'd love to do it, or try to pick up a paintbrush and paint something. They all feel like risks. And then especially when it goes down to putting your hard-earned money behind something, like I have an idea and I want to create it, and I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but like the biggest risk we could ever take is just to kind of keep clocking hours in a life or
Oh,
situation that maybe isn't the perfect fit for us. I mean, there's no worse risk than that. And I think almost anybody who's tried to do entrepreneurship, invention, creation, art, all of these things that require some level of, I have no idea if this is going to work out for me or not. Um, I think it's hard to find someone that at the end of it, whether they were commercially successful or not, says that they wish they hadn't done it. They wish they had never tried. I mean, I just think that would be such a heavy feeling at the end of life to think back about things that we wish we had tried to
right.
do.
Well, that's where regret comes into our life
Mhm.
is, oh, I should have, woulda, coulda type
Mhm.
things just don't work. In fact, my grandson just dropped by the office here a little bit ago, and uh, he was talking with me, and we were talking about taking a little bit of a risk, doing a pre-IPO with a company. And so I said, here, watch these videos. This is what I watched this weekend. And how much do you think that you'd like
Mhm.
to invest? And so it was interesting hearing about the risk and
Yeah.
him stating, well, I'd like to give this much. Yet I said, well, what if you lost it all? Oh, no, I couldn't handle that. I go, well, then that's a risk you shouldn't take. So how much would you be willing to risk? And I look at you, and you've signed leases on your
Mhm.
buildings that you're in, and every
Yeah.
time you expanded your business, you had to hire other dermatologists, you had to
Mhm.
hire other staff. You were not there to watch over it because you're at your own
Mhm.
location doing surgery and the things that need to
Right.
be done. That was a risk. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that maybe you had to work through in your mind to actually become more and take that risk.
Yeah, I think one thing is just realizing that you're capable. I think as women, a lot of times we have such an imposter syndrome. And despite the fact that we're educated and we are actually totally capable of, running a business and things like that, there's something in there that somehow we are more likely to second guess ourselves than maybe men are that are not even as qualified. So I know for a lot of risks that I've taken, I think there's been something that's a passion, that's an ethical issue or a values based issue that's pushed me towards wanting to take that risk. So I can say with the dermatology skincare line, that values issue and ethical issue and passion being wanting products to be safe and yet effective, and wanting to teach people how to utilize affirmations so that they could make their lives better, to empower other women is the central focus there. And I
Well,
think with the skincare offices, the dermatology offices, I had previously been working in a group that was bought out by a corporate practice. And I have a lot of ethical issues with corporate practice of medicine and with the way that private equity and corporations are taking over medicine in many ways. And I think that was the central thing that pushed me to say I'd like to create my own practice where I can really know that patients are being taken care of at the level that I always thought that they would be under my care and with the care of those associated with me.
I do a mentorship program. Actually, I do a couple. One with women right here in the Austin area around leadership and wealth building. And then, of course, I do one for a very small group with John Maxwell, where I bring him in to help us with leadership. And I bring in people that are actual specialists in their area about building wealth, about
Hmm.
culture, about all those things. And so I know how important it is to surround yourself with the right people and
Absolutely.
having them pour into you. Now you
Hmm.
have a mantra that you pour into many people, and it's to help them become more. So talk to me a little bit about remembering that inner child inside of you and remembering your big plans to change the world. And what were some of the mantras that you gave to yourself?
Yeah, I think I've always felt very connected with the person that I was from the beginning. And I think a lot of people really, unfortunately, because of the things that happen in our lives, because of expectations, because of even starts with family dynamics, more kids, it goes with school dynamics and work and life happens basically. And a lot of people spend a lot of their lives really trying to find again or understand that original person. We're really born into this world totally whole, exactly who we're supposed to be. And our soul knows who we're supposed to be. And then kind of life happens and we can become disconnected from ourselves. So I feel like for me, always really searching inward. I think that being sort of from that alternative medicine family really uh, helped me to kind of always be in touch with my inner child, playfulness, never growing up. I think when we approach life playfully, joyfully, we will always remember who she is. Because what are kids like? Kids are the ultimate present moment people. They don't know
That's
about
right.
anything but the present moment. Like when I'm trying to get my kids ready for school, it's like one of them sees a roly poly in the yard and it's like, look, it's a roly poly. And they don't think about the fact that I told them 5 minutes ago, we gotta be in the car now. We're gonna be tardy again. Blah. They're looking at the roly poly. They're smelling the flower. They're noticing things around them because they're living in the present moment. That's why
Oh,
kids are so happy.
so the metaphor that you use for Robert Frost.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. So when I was a little girl, I always loved that Robert Frost poem. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that's made all the difference. And I think it's such a beautiful concept. It's so simple, but the reality is, if we are walking on a totally cleared, perfect, concrete laden path, then we're walking on somebody else's path.
There you go.
And the most interesting path is the one that we find ourselves, that we feel called to, that our heart's called to. And, what's good for one person may not be good for another. One person, their dream might be that perfect family life with a bunch of kids and, really fun Christmases at home and a really stable life like that. And another person that could be just really restrictive for them. Maybe they want to be free to travel the world at a moment's notice, and maybe that's their dream. I think we have to be authentic and true to what we really want.
Yeah.
And so much unhappiness out there, I think, really boils down to the fact that one, we have to be in touch with our inner child and our inner selves, our higher selves, to know what we want. And two, we have to give ourselves what we want because our best life, like our best selves, the best way we can show up in the world is in our authentic energy. 100%. That's who we're meant to be. Nobody else can out us. Nobody else is going to do you better than you can do you, but you could make a not as good imitation of some other person. So I really truly believe that the best, most interesting, most dynamic path is always going to be that one that's just for us that we feel called to.
Yeah, and we learn from other people and we allow
Hmm.
them to help us. And you never forget where you came from,
Hmm.
and you should never
Hmm.
forget who helped you, right?
Right.
Because we stand on the shoulders of giants. I mean, that has been said over
Hmm.
and over again by many people.
Right.
Yet who has helped you, who has lifted you up? I mean, you graduated number one at Harvard. I mean, let's face it, number one in your class. Everything you did was like you were number one. I've read about it and desired to meet you because I like winners. Yet
Yeah.
you failed a lot too to get to
Yeah.
those number one spots.
Hmm.
Yet everyone has a gift inside of them.
Hmm.
You opened yours up. I opened mine up. We want to share it with the world. We want to add
Hmm.
value to the world. What do you think, or what would you like to say to someone that has a gift that is maybe a little frightened to open
Hmm.
it up and become more?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that the most rewarding thing in life for the people around them, even if they're thinking about what's best for the people around them. I think as women, we tend to be so focused on helping other people, on putting ourselves last, which is, we shouldn't do that for sure. But a lot of times we are thinking about, well, I'm scared to really go for it because what about my family? What about this? What about that? I truly think that when we go after those things that we want and we truly let our individual light shine outward, we give a gift to everybody around us.
Right.
And so, as much as I'd love to say, just do it for you, I know we as women, a lot of times we don't just do it for us.
Yeah.
But the true thing is the best gift we can give the world around us is the authentic us.
You know, Marianne Williamson, I like the poem where she says,
Mhm.
allow your light to shine, because then you give others the right to allow their
Yeah.
light to shine as well. And I don't have the exact words on it. Yet,
Yeah.
I think I just want to end with a pivotal moment that you had. It was you accidentally drove your car off a bridge, right?
Hmm.
On the way to
Yeah.
work, and really had a strong reminder of the danger of constantly putting others
Hmm.
first. Tell
Yeah,
us
I
about
really did. Oh my gosh. Yes, it was about a year ago. Just over a year ago. It was during the time there were it was end of July last year. There were sort of hurricanes in Houston. There was tons of rain. I was driving out to my rural practice in Smithville, Texas. So it's about an hour drive. And it was absolutely pouring. I mean, I've been driving a lot different locations for work for many years, but this was the absolute worst conditions I've ever driven in. And I think, deep down, like I had no visibility. Deep down, I knew that I should pull over and wait until the weather was a little bit better. And I even kind of called my husband, kind of saying, it's really bad. I mean, this is like the worst weather I've ever driven, and I'm not really sure what to do. And it was just kind of like I just kind of decided just to keep going to work because in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to be late if I take too long. The weather is terrible, so I'm driving even slower than usual. Everyone's going to be waiting for me. And in an instant, I hydroplaned in my car, flew off the road, and there happened to be a bridge there that was about 50 feet high. I drove right off of it and landed about 100 feet forward. So, really, what could have been a majorly fatal accident. Broke my back in an area, broke a rib, but was really okay and walked out of the car. I was actually able to take my kids to Disney the next day. We were supposed to go on vacation that night. They let me out of the hospital in time to get to the airport. We went right to the airport and still made our flight to California. I was totally fine. But it really, when I was flying off the bridge, all I could see in my mind were my two kids' faces and just thinking, why? Oh my God, thinking I'm going to die and realizing that I was about to just completely die over worried about keeping
right.
patients waiting in Smithville. And I think, you know, as a woman, that is so classic for us that we are going through our lives thinking, oh, I have to do this. I have to get this done. I have to go to my kids' school for this. I have to do this. There's this constant mental list that we're going down. But ultimately, I didn't even make it to clinic that day at all. So
Right.
it would have been so much better for me to prioritize my safety. And I think when we truly go through this self-sacrificing, like martyrdom type of energy, we don't actually help anyone because at the end of the day, that's always going to give at some point. It's so important for us to stand up for our own health, be it our physical health, our mental health, taking the time to do the things we need to do to be healthy people. I know, to your point about preventative health, 99% of being a healthy person, of aging well, people think they need all this money for it. They don't, right? It's nutrition, it's kind of low sugar diet, it's going out walking the neighborhood for 30 minutes at a time, getting that heart rate up with a nice brisk walk, do some planks at your house. um do some meditation and prayer, laugh. These are things that are available to all of us at no charge. And but we have to take the time to prioritize ourselves to do it. And I think it's so hard sometimes, but it's so critical to every step of the way to
Yeah.
really know to put our health and our safety first.
Well, and like you brought up people pleasing.
Hmm.
How can we be authentic? I know I've been there. Oh, I've got to do this for them. I've got to do this for this person. You wanted to get there rather than pulling off the road. You
Hmm.
wanted to get there
Yep.
because of the other people. And oh my goodness, I can't have them waiting.
Hmm.
Oh, and all of your thoughts went to them instead of what's best for everyone. Probably best
Hmm.
that I get there. And for you to go
Hmm.
off that bridge and actually
Hmm.
walk away is a God
Yeah.
thing to me. That is an
It really
absolute
is. I mean, it
miracle.
was a real miracle and real wake up call for me because I think a lot of times I do think I'm superwoman. I can do it. I can do it. Yes, yes, yes. And it's just a reminder that sometimes the answer's got to be no. Can I drive to work right now? No, I can't.
Right.
So, I think it was just such a like reminder, and I'd like to say it just completely changed me overnight, but I can't say that it did, but what it has done has been this constant like seed all year. When I find myself falling into that like martyrdom
Mm.
and that superwoman style, like, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't need any, I don't have any needs. I'm just going to get everything done. To take a step back and say, we're not going off another bridge. We're not going off another bridge.
You know, that's a great reminder for all of us.
Hmm.
Number one, we do have to put our health first. We do
Hmm.
have to put our sanity and keep our stress levels down,
Hmm.
all of these things. And sometimes we need each other. Collaboration to me is
Yeah.
something that is so needed. And that's what I love about this woman mentorship group I put together. Because
Hmm.
as women, helping each other cope through all the things
Yes.
that we're doing, and especially with the single parents that I work with, because
Yeah.
I was a single parent, right? It's
Yeah.
challenging to be the mom and the dad and hit
Yeah.
every single football game, soccer game, everything that's going every day
Yes.
at school. And I just love that you helped us in becoming more. So we've discovered a lot of things today. We've discovered about health, how natural products are very good for us, how we can help each other through things like cancer or driving off of a bridge, having a broken back. I mean, let's face it, we've all been through a lot of things. Life
Hmm.
is a roller coaster. And as my friend Kate says, Kate Papkin, she said, Dianna, would you buy a ticket to ride a flat roller coaster? And the answer is no. So I
I love that.
I appreciate you being on the call with us today. I look forward to seeing you again. You're right here in Austin. You've become one of my
Yes.
best friends, and you
Yes.
offer so
Can't
much
wait for the
to the
next leadership
world.
group.
We
You
will
do
be
too.
there together
Yeah.
and we'll help women one at a
Yes.
time to be massively successful. So thank you for helping us to become more. Is there anything that you want to leave us with today?
No, I just say if people want to find me, they can find me on Instagram at Dr. Kristina Collins. It's DrKristina and my practice at AustinSkinPhysicians.com.
And we're going to put both of those in the link below so you can
Great.
contact her
Oh, and
instantly.
my Love Foy too.
That's
At Love Foy. I've got too many pages. We'll make
that's
them
what I
10.
wanted to get to
Yeah.
because I'm telling you, for natural products, which are
Yeah.
such a must in today's world, and I've explored a lot of them, and this is the
Yeah.
best one, and that's why I asked you to be on the show today.
Thank
Not
you.
only because of the way that you think, and you think big, you think
Mhm.
becoming more, you think about always improving. More importantly, though, you think about others. And you went through a lot to develop that skincare, not for you, not for the money. I know why
Right.
you did it because we talked while over dinner. You did it
Hmm.
to help people. It's not just for
Yeah.
women, it's for men too. We all need
Hmm.
to take care of our skin. and this
Yeah.
will help. So once again, tell us the website that they can go for the product.
Yes, www.lovefoy.com. So it's lovefoy.com.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate you.
you.